G'day, Teeth here from pickinglessons.com. The 3 C Captains. Isn't this such a great tune? It's quite long for a fiddle tune. Part A is 16 measures, then repeats. And then we've got part B, which is 20 measures, then repeats. So it's actually quite a fair amount of playing to do before we get to the end of the tune. In a moment, we're going to have a look at part A here in this video. We're going to break it down and learn what we need to be able to play the tune. But if you head to pickinglessons.com, you're able to grab yourself a copy of the chart that we're working from. In the member section there, you have a play along backing track and a breakdown of part B of the lesson as well. Let's start out though with this part A. We're going to play it through slowly first, and then we'll talk about some of the techniques that we're facing in this tune. 1, 2, 1 and a 2 and a. Okay, there we have part A. Now, first of all, we're a jig, so we're in 6/8 time. We'll talk about that in a moment. We're in the key of G, standard tuning. The main thing really for us to focus on though is going to be the fact that it is a jig and our picking in the right hand really follows the rhythm we're focusing on in this 6/8 time signature. We do have some pretty cool little ornaments and whatnot in there as well, so we'll check those out. Let's move on our way through. There is a little bit of repeating within the 16 measures, so that will kind of help us out as we go along. But if we go from the beginning, very briefly, 6/8 time has 2 beats per measure, broken down into 3 a piece. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's what we're dealing with our time signature. So 2 beats per measure. So you can feel that pulse there. Because of that, our picking tends to be uneven. So we'll look at what we're doing as we go through. First of all, that pickup note, we're going to play on an upstroke, and it's on count 6 of the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as an upstroke. Now, the first measure, we have a variation of rhythm. A normal sort of, I guess, rhythmic pattern within 6/8 time would be 3/8 notes that we see in the second half of the first measure. We have a dotted 8th and a 16th on the first beat. So we're going to play that a little differently. So we need to hold the first note slightly longer than the second. Picking hand, down, up, down, up, down. And again. Down, up, down, up, down. Now, 2 downs in the middle there. We're going to emphasize our down beat, our pulse in the music with a down stroke. So anytime we come back to the beat, we're playing with the down. So we're faced with down, up, down for the beat. And we're going to continue that kind of thinking as we move through. Keep an eye on the tablature. All the picking is there. All the left hand fingering will be there as needed as well. Measure 2. This rhythm structure is really straightforward. This one we have a quarter, 8th, quarter, 8th. So what we're going to play for the right hand is down, up. Again, downstroke on the pulse to help us sort of emphasize that in our playing. Measure 3 is like measure 1. Measure 4, and then we'll do a little bit of a play through. Measure 4, quarter and 8th, down and up, and then dotted quarter, 16th, 8th. Down, up, down. Okay, so sit back and work on that, but here's the first 4 measures, just a little slower. 4, 5, 6. The picking is really important in a jig. If you can follow the structure we're setting out here, you're going to find as the tempo increases, it's really going to help you get the feel for the 6/8 time signature. That's really important. There are certainly other ways we could go about moving through these notes and these passages with the right hand. If you can do it like this though, you're going to find that you're going to emphasize that pulse within your playing, which is really important. Okay, so measure 5, let's move on. Measure 5 is a nice straight rhythm, so just 6/8 notes here. So down, up, down, up, down. It's a good one to work on just to get that picking going. Down, up, down, up, down. 16th hammer-ons. Down, up, down without picking. Quarter note, we hold that, and then triplet 16ths on the end of the measure. So we've got this hammer-on pull-off. We'll play that as an upstroke because we're going to come down on the next beat. So the up to the down there. So what we have is down to the next note there in measure 7. I'll do that again. Just listen to the pulse. The hammer-on pull-off slur there at the end, the triplet 16ths, that's quite late in the measure, just before we play the next beats on that last count. So if we did count that measure, it'd be 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sixth count there for that hammer-on. Measure 7. It's an easy one. Measure 8. Again, another straightforward rhythm. Just emphasizing that pulse. Notice the down, down there in the center of the measure. Down, up, down, up, down, giving us that accented pulse. So first 8 measures, we kind of move on into a little bit of a repeat within this A section. So measure 9 through 12. It's like how we started the tune. Moving on, measure 13. Here we start to change. So measure 14, we're moving through to these final few measures before the repeat of part A. The 16th hammer on, up, down, little chromatic passage there. Fingering the left hand, I would choose to use third finger, second finger, moving to that second fret. See how you go with that one. Down, stroke in measure 15, up, down. 16th note, triplet, hammer on, pull off again. Upstroke on that last note. I'll play it a couple of times, let's have a listen. I'll do a little bit quicker. One more time. The feel for that hammer on triplet there, really just go through those a little quicker, and then we've got to hold that open string. So the open string pull off there is an 8th before we play the upstroke. So it's a little bit of a feel, can be tricky to count, so just listen really close on that one. And our final measure there, 16. You can hold that kind of top part of a G chord to finish off. It's a little G arpeggio there to conclude this section of the tune. Now, 16 measures, we then do repeat that again before we move on. So there's a fair bit to work on there already. The picking is really important. So those moments we've just broken down the technique, do keep that in mind. This is not the easiest jig, so if you're having a little trouble with that, certainly go have a look at some of the beginner lessons on pickinglessons.com, where we will break down some jigs at a slower tempo with a little bit more explanation. But if you've played a jig or two before, this should be okay for you to get going. It's not overly hard to play. The ornaments make it pretty cool, maybe a bit more challenging as well. So spend some time on it, get to know the A section, but jump across to pickinglessons.com and we'll break down part B of this tune together in the member section, and plus you've got the tablature there and some play along and backing tracks. Pickinglessons.com, I'll see you there.